Hello. In this part, I'm going to discuss about process of research-based output, objectives. And so the title is Objectives 221 as it is being recorded in 2021. When we are discussing about title, the next very troublesome part for a beginner is to connect the objectives in the research framework and convince everybody who is around it and associated with it. Let us see how it really goes about. It really makes a lot of sense, and it will be really interesting to know that in this entire process, whether it is dissertation or even PhD thesis, objectives can be of various different type, and you start with confusion because your levels are not decided, your scope is not decided, and nothing can be decided because the problem here is when you want to decide something, there is no fixed framework to narrow down something. Objectives are very important because they decide the path of your research. So that path of research is a process. It's an intellectual process which can be taken up with the help of your mentor or your guide, and it is invariably independent and original. So more you copy it, more you will be in trouble. That is very important. When you say objectives or object, please understand the very rational objectivity of it, which is based on facts, truth, and something which is to be accepted by all, not just by your intuition or your whims or something like that. General observation is that people are confusing themselves with objectives and goals. Now, for thesis, dissertation, MPhil, PhD, or the SIPs or study report, the goals are different. The goals of program are different. Goals of your life are different. Goals of your career are different. And in this entire process, goals should not be mixed with objectives. So you joined the particular course because you wanted to do something in the field of finance. But if you just try to push your aspirations or dream into objectives, then it is wrong. First, one should really be able to differentiate between the objectives and goals. That is very essential part in the entire process. Goals are very broad and general, whereas objectives are very narrow and more specific. So all the time with your mentor or guide or teachers, anybody who is supporting you, even your family members, they'll always look at you and they will say, you are here and you need to go here, you need to be here. So what needs to happen to go from here to there, from here to there? And you will see, people laughing at you, people making fun of your work, having a lot of other tricky comments and known, unknown, backbiting and gossip. Everything happens because this is a stage of your mind where your confusion is understood by your friends, your troubles are understood by them. Because from here to there, going with the help of just direction is not so easy a task. That is true. Whether it is science or technology or even it is humanities, this particular gap one has to fill with your own intellectual capacity. That is something very important. Let us understand the difference between goal and object. It looks like two peaks of this particular mountain. This is one objective, this is another. You feel that it is on the same level, but there is a big gap here and a depth is here also there. So jumping from one objective to another is not so easy a process because you assume that the path is straight, but path is never straight and it can be non-linear and troubling. Goals are broad, intangible, abstract, and objectives are specific, tangible, and measurable. So goal could be for a company to run a profitable operation by increasing revenue or reducing expenses. That's very broad. Whereas objectives could be raising the sales by some percentage, getting some 3 to 4 clients each month or something like that. Or in case of expenses, it could be finding new premises with cheaper rent or something like that. So objective and goal, they are much closer to each other, but they are not the same. That one should understand. And if you are confusing your ideas, your wishes and aspiration with the objectives of a report, that is, you are doing a great mistake. Never do that. This clarity: goals are broad, intangible, abstract. Objectives are specific, tangible and measurable. For anything that you are doing, PhD to any small research paper also, always understand what is the goal. In Indian situation, for education, the goal is very broad. And then you are very tolerant also. Sometimes you may get good recognition, good job, good money. Sometimes you may not get it immediately also. We are very tolerant about it. We are not pinpointingly looking at education from that perspective. But actually, in the reality, when you complete your education, you understand that if I could have had more clarity on my goals rather than objective, things could have been different. Some people do mistake that they treat objective as a goal, but objectives are short, narrow, and once they fulfill it, they feel they are great, they know everything, and then they start creating trouble for themselves. So always understand this gap. It looks very small, but it is a very huge gap. You have to fill it with your intelligence and rather wisdom. That is very important. So let us clearly differentiate between objectives and goal. This example is with reference to a company or a corporate, but that doesn't make any difference. Let us go with it. The definition of goal is the direction and overall destination of your company that helps you realize your vision. Whereas the objective, the exact action and steps your company must take to reach its goals. The specificity is general intention or direction, whereas objectives are specific and absolutely precise. The plan is always broad in scope and changeable. Objectives will be always narrow in the scope. Rather, a big plan is divided into small objectives, and the scope is narrowed down. Size in terms of goal could be large in size and the whole as such, whereas objectives will be small and part of the whole, not a complete assignment. The example could be increase international customer base could be a goal, whereas objective could be acquire 28% more customers from UK, Australia, Germany in next 3 months. So you can understand what is specific here. The action is a general outcome. Everybody follows that. Whereas in objectives, it will be specific action and it is measurable step also. Now measurement. Difficult for goals, but goals are usually intangible and may not be strictly measurable. All goals cannot be measured. But in objectives, easy because we have decided the numbers also. So it is measurable and tangible. So your performance can be rewarded or sometimes punished also. The time frame could be long term for goals, and for objectives, it is medium to short term. It's a very simple difference, but this is a very basic logical requirement for anybody who is really going for research. Once you clarify this, you will have a clear space to think and you will be reaching some better place. Now to reach to that, what you need to do is nothing else but find your purpose. Find the purpose of your work. That is very, very important. If you know the purpose of this particular report which you are doing, then you will be very free and comfortable. Just talking, chatting, sharing, telling everybody that you are doing this, you are doing that will not work, because for the sake of telling somebody or reporting somebody, if you are just committing something in words, that doesn't mean that you will be able to do it. So purpose is to be defined, whether you want it for promotion, whether you want it for further education, whether you want it for just knowledge, whether you want to learn, then go for experience and then earn something out of it. That is very important. After some time in life, there is no difference between learning and earning, and sometimes there are losses also. So without defining the purpose, if you start working, make it sure that you are going to face a lot of problems. And for small things, you spend a lot of time, and time is money. And of course, money cannot be replaced by any small things around you. You will have to really slog more and start from the last mistake, where you stopped working on a project. So always finding your purpose is important. So far, if you have not done, better late than never. There is a very big issue about the ego of a person who is doing such a type of work. So here is a very interesting graph here. It's a graph with what you know versus how much you know about it. And most of us fall into this category. We know too much about everything. But what exactly we know is so important in life that will decide the path of our research. And that is why in defining objective, if we know what we know, then there will not be any trouble in reaching to the goals of particular project or course or whatever it is. So what you know when you are an undergraduate, when you are doing master's degree, when you are doing PhD, and after that also a lot. Oops, you overshot it. Okay, and here is a graph. 0 is nothing and little. Okay, so you know a little at the beginning, and what you know is nothing. You just talk about it. But slowly over the period of time, when you pass through the process of all such things, where this undergraduate level to PhD you complete, you understand that you are learning few things repeatedly. You are learning few things in the new format, and that is very interesting. But even then, you are just gathering too much about it, but you are not getting exactly what is expected of you, and that is where the role of objective is very important. I just made a very final checklist for you, and that is to decide the objectives. You should decide purpose, understand what are your goals. You should be doing a SMART analysis, okay, of your own objectives, whether it is qualitative or quantitative. List them out, match with the findings. All your objectives, please understand, should match with the findings and conclusion. I've given a small example here that you want to have a sort of approach called bottom-up approach, where you will be looking for companies, sectors, and so finally it is a study of economy. And top-down approach is that you talk about economy, you study economies, then find out different sectors and reach to a company. So when you are studying with the company in actual state, you have to decide whether it is bottom-up or top-down approach. This small pyramid also can help you a lot in terms of knowing how you are going to go about it. So in the case of fixing the title, always understand the purpose, SMART assessment of your objective, and your approach is important. And of course, all this is once done, you should be very clear to narrow down your objectives. Thank you very much.